Hey everybody, ronarray here, and as 3.29 progresses, items becoming more and more expensive. So in this video, I wanted to showcase how to quickly craft some of the pretty important items. First off is the boots with increased effect of non-damaging elements, which is improving damage pretty significantly if you're using Shaper of Storms. And also I'm going to showcase how to craft Archdemon Crown with like socketed projectile gems, burning damage, elemental damage, and projectile pierce an additional target, together with a little life on top. So both those items are very simple to craft and also shouldn't be too expensive. However, make sure you're checking prices, because sometimes on the market you can get items for cheaper than actually crafting it yourself. I think for the boots it could be not that stable, and for the helmet it almost always better to craft yourself because prices at the market right now is a little too high. Feel free to subscribe to the channel if you appreciate such crafting videos, and let's go. So first off, for the helmet we're going to use an Archdemon Crown, which is pretty basic. You can get any base which is like item level 83 and higher, and after that, you will just need to click it with like Regal Orb and like Alchemy Orb, depending on what kind of item you have. After you got that, you will need to use Elder Exalted Orb to add the influence to an item. As you can see, I'm clicking it right here, and I'm getting the influence for it too. After we got the influence comes the most expensive part of the craft. We will need to use Essence of Horror to hit the bonus from Essence of Horror itself. So more elemental damage and burning damage at the same time. So as you can see right here, I have a burning damage tier 3, which is not too bad after a few clicks. However, if you want to go for better helmet, you obviously need to focus on getting it as high as possible. And right there, after a few clicks, I already have like level 20 burning damage together with more elemental damage too. Unfortunately, suffixes here are failed, but rarity is a pretty decent option, so I would not worry much about that. So if instead you have an option with like open suffix, you will need to use suffixes cannot be changed, so either use a beast for it and just use a bench. And after that, you can also reforge that for any kind of elemental damage. So you can use reforge rate with like lightning modifier, for example, for lightning resistance, cold for cold, fire for fire. There is a chance to hit something else, but it should hit resistances very often. So as you can see right here, I got resistances without a single issue. So most of the time you're going to get resistances anyway. However, the tier itself is going to be kinda random. From that moment, you also have expensive way to finish the craft and non-expensive way. So practically, Veiled Exalted Orb is going to be expensive and Veiled Chaos Orb is going to be non-expensive. The main difference right here is that Veiled Chaos Orb can actually fill your prefixes, kinda breaking your craft, and that way you will need to annul or go back to step 1. And Veiled Exalted Orb costs much more. However, it's not risky at all, and you can just will never like fill your suffixes. So for that craft, I'm just going to use a cheap Veiled Chaos Orb option, especially since I have a few helmets running around. So for that, we are going to just block our suffixes. So suffixes cannot be changed at the craft. And after that, you either using Veiled Chaos Orb or Veiled Exalted Orb. Since our suffixes are full, the only thing that we can replace is prefix, because we will need to add one. However, make sure that if you're using Exalted Orb, your prefixes should be full as well. That way you're going to replace one. And if you're just going to use Veiled Chaos Orb, it's going to reforge the whole item with a modifier. So perfectly, we'll have some open prefixes right here. That way, our end result is going to be a little worse, however, it's going to be significantly cheaper. So after we click in, as you can see, I have one prefix up, it's rarity again, it's a rarity helmet. And I have a veiled modifier. So when unveiling, I heavily recommend to block the maximum number of skeletons, because that thing is rolling pretty often. After that, you can just go and unveil. Perfectly, you need to get projectile piercing additional target, exactly like I have right here. However, getting +2 to AoE would be absolutely fine too, because that way you can just sell the helmet to people playing like different skills, and it's going to be fine too. However, my current option is looking alright as well. After it, we can just recraft for life, trying to hit as close to 70 as possible, so I'm going to probably just stand with 69, because that's a nice number. In the end, we have like burning damage, more elemental, projectile spears and additional target, life, and +2 to socketed projectile gems. The craft itself is also very simple, especially if you're using the cheaper option, so you can just keep retrying it if you want to reiterate and improve your helmet at least a little. So for the boots right now, process is very simple and straightforward. First, you will need to get the base with item level like 83, 82 plus and fractured maximum life. You can still fracture the maximum life yourself, but I believe it's significantly cheaper at the moment to just buy those. And the base could be anything that you actually like. So if you will look at the trait right here and we'll go for something like Sage Sleepers, which is like second base with Energy Shield, you can buy the base for like 35 chaoses, not a good one, and about 100 with higher percentage right here. So any of those will work. If instead of that you want to run armor base, feel free to look for armor bases as well, just change your search. So that way it should be like armor 1, you can delete Stage Sleepers. Make sure that item level is 83 plus, it's not corrupted and it's not mirrored. The only search for you is like maximum life 120 fractured. So as you can see, there's a lot of options like that on the market. Pick any base that you like. Myself, I'm going to use the Sage Sleepers base that I got right here, which is pretty cheap. And the next step is very easy too. First, you can either use Deafening Essence of Torment or Deafening Essence of Zeal. So at the moment, we don't really need anything special on the boots. On my previous one, I just had like movement speed, some life, and a little resistances. We don't even need resistances. So you can go for Deafening Essence of Torment, which is giving you chance to avoid being shocked. Combined with that, you can roll an Implicit to avoid being shocked as well, and use Storm Shroud to make yourself completely immune to all elemental ailments. It's a pretty nice way to scale the build later into the endgame, so just to be safe, I'm going to use chance to avoid being shocked. However, keep in mind if you're using Tempest Shield at the moment, which is a very good buff, you don't really need avoid being shocked. So if you're on a budget or just don't want to overpay or will keep using Tempest Shield until the end of the universe, you can practically just use Deafening Essence of Zeal, which is going to streamline the craft and make it significantly easier. Because Deafening Essence of Zeal right here is just giving you 32% of movement speed, practically finishing the prefixes for the boots. But I'm going to go for chance to avoid being shocked just for the future if I will decide to use Storm Shroud instead. So you can just keep clicking your boots with Deafening Essence of Torment. Your main goal right here is to hit good suffixes and leave one suffix open. Perfectly good suffixes would be some additional resistances, for example. So after clicking for some time, right here I have a pretty decent setup. It has fire resistance, movement speed, chance to avoid being shocked, and life. However, we will need to make sure that prefixes are full. So that way we're going to unveil the suffix instead. So to make sure that we have prefixes, we're going to use Greater Eldritch Ember right here to make like Exarch dominant on the boots. And after that we can just use an Exalt option right here, so Eldritch Exalted Orb, to add a prefix modifier. Since we have that league, we have like Sovereign, that way we can use the Sovereign to get like better prefix. However, since after that league Sovereign is probably not going to go core, I'm not even going to use it that time. Just clicking it with Eldritch Orb to add any prefix, and that's maximum mana, which is tier 8 and not really that amazing, but it's still going to work just fine with our goal right here. After that, we're going to just get prefixes cannot be changed. And after we got prefixes cannot be changed, we can use the veiled modifier. Since our prefixes are full and they can't be removed, the veiled orb is just going to remove one of the suffixes. We have about 30% chance for it to end badly if you're going to lose chance to avoid being shocked. And at the moment, we are going to get Veiled Exalted Orb, which is the most expensive part of the craft. Right here, we are clicking it, and as you can see, we got lucky and it removed exactly what we need, which is prefixes cannot be changed. Right now, we have a suffix, which we are going to unveil, and get increased effect of non-damaging elements, which is absolutely perfect. It might take a few veiled orbs if you get unlucky, but if you did everything right and you're unveiling the suffix, chance to hit effect of non-damaging elements should be pretty big. And right now we have a pretty decent boots for everything except maybe mana, which is a kinda mid result. If you're going to use Storm Shroud, make sure that you're rolling the implicit right here to get the rest, like 40% chance to avoid being shocked, to combine it. And if you're not going to use that, you can roll any other bonuses on the boots. However, increased effect of non-damaging elements is going to combine very good with things like Shaper of Storms and going to improve your damage pretty nicely. So I hope that video will help you out to craft something nice for yourself too and improve your damage in your build. Thank you very much for watching and see you next time. ronarray out.